Hey guys, we're back and we're gonna do a couple. Hold on, I apologize. I forgot to go onto my thing. Just give me 1 second. Hate when that happens. Alright, we're back and we're ready to do this thing. Okay, so what we need to do is continue onward with our studies. And so the French defense is what we're going to be doing, the exchange variation. We're going to show how a boring opening can be fun. So let's do that thing. Let's show how it could be fun. And so d4, e6, e4, d5, e takes d5, e takes d5, and c4. We got to flip the board. I forgot about that. I am sorry. That's we will go back and just start really quick over because it's important that we see it from black side. Okay, that's the French defense. This is the exchange variation. And this is actually a player that was described to me to look at last time we were on. And so I promised I'd pull a couple games up from this gentleman, George Miller. And this is, his opponent is Simon Kim Wilson. And so that's who white is, and George Miller, which is black. But we're just going to do white and black. But I wanted you guys to know who's who, and so that we can continue. White's sharpest line against black's idea against. Hold on, come on, why isn't this lagging? It's lagging on me. Hold on. Come on. It's not responding. No. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. This is really odd. There we go. Ay, ay, ay. That's not what we want. Hey, you know what? Now we'll get right back in this. Don't let things distract you. Okay. So what we have to do is understand that there's certain opening lines that after the exchange, if he plays here, the knight plays to f3, you go c6. If the bishop goes to d3, you can actually go c5 or potentially c6. c6 is never a bad move, guys. It's a more of a stabilizing move. So if you don't want to play like attack, but you kind of want to just build up, c6 could be played against almost any move in this exchange variation. But if you want to like do a huge attack, because what'll happen is this will be like what it is. You'll be playing an isolated pawn, but remember you're playing for the attack. This deprives space from white, and so that's the whole idea behind c5 is to keep this pawn in the center. But like what I said is if you would like just to play, standard, just have a good game but not push it, and so you could set up and go to the middle. C6 is good against any of these lines. Like here, C6. Hold on, come on. No. I don't know why it's lagging like that. That's not good. I apologize for that because it's not my side. Trust me. Okay, C, could be played here, and then also if he plays C5, C4, usually what's played is knight to F6. But here, again, if you feel like you don't want to kind of push it, you could play C4, C6, and potentially if you want to just say, you know what, white, you want it, I'm willing to play into your idea, you can just take. With takes, if he takes back, yes, you developed a piece for him, but remember, he has an isolated pawn now. So your whole game will be based on this piece here. This pawn. You'll be whoever can, if you can barricade it and then attack it, you will win. Because you will then have an extra pawn, and this is really good for the bishops. So white's going to have to constantly keep something defending the D4 pawn. But I just wanted to let you know that what you can play against C4 if you're black. Knight F6 is more of the standard protection, because if takes here, you're going to implant a knight on D5, and this is the most active spot that a knight can. Well, I guess you could say that, and this up here too is active. All these spots here, here, potentially is active too for the black piece, but this is a really good spot. There's no piece that can take the knight out on D5. It's barricading the pawn from progressing, and then later you can build up an attack on it and maybe come in here, or here, sorry. You can build an attack here, 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 and there, and you'll eventually win this pawn. And you might even just play C5 and say, come on, let's bring it. Yeah. But white doesn't want that to happen, so he plays C3. Bishop B4. That's a really strong move because it pins the knight. Also, it allows potentially for maybe the C3 to actually be played. C6 to be played. Pawn C6. So there's a lot to be played here for D3 castles and knight F3. Rook E8 is a check, so he has to develop basically only move is bishop E. So you go D takes C, takes, and then you play bishop to E6. You're attacking the bishop, so when the queen moves, you take with check, takes, takes, and now this is kind of an interesting situation. Let's take stock of this of what's going on here. See, white has one pawn island, two pawn islands, and three pawn islands. Black has two pawn islands, which means in an endgame, because this pawn on C3 is a weakness, if all these pieces got traded off here, this king right here has a better chance of blocking the pawns on C4, and then he can start getting his pawns going down the board. So, but you also would say, well, can't white make a pass pawn? Like if this gets advanced, you have a pawn here and here. If this gets advanced, there's a pawn here and here. Can't he make a pass pawn? Yes, but remember, it's not as dangerous as an outside one. So if black could get his pawns like this and start going up the board, he'll have an outside pass pawn, which is more dangerous if white was to castle. The interesting thing is white castles, and so now he's playing. Black's playing to trade off queens because he knows that'll become a weakness. That'll be a weakness, and so he knows his opponent won't trade the queens off. He'll have to move his queen back to a more passive square. Potentially there's knight to g5 for white, and maybe rooks. Maybe this rook can come to these open files, but the queen for black is really strongly outposted. a5. Now a5 prepares to jam a knight into c4, protected by b5 and then h6 and then c6. This knight won't be going anywhere if that knight's gone, because the bishop is on the wrong color of the square that the knight is. So just remember that type of stuff, and that's why the knight retreats back. It does not want this knight to jam itself right there, right here. But what black does is a very wise decision. He goes b5. The reason b5, it stops here. Also, it allows for the infiltration of the knight to come in. But we got to remember, we don't want to double these pawns, because that would make black's position weak. So it's really a preparation move. He wants to stop, something similar to that. It's very, I don't know about b5 now, but I see kind of what his idea potentially might be. Is he wants to prevent c4 to be pushed, but you know, that's the only sitch with a a4, a6, and if takes, we take. Yes, here, but remember, black was able to get rid of white's outside pass pawn, so the pawn islands are the same now. So potentially, I'm going to say it's an equal position if I was to analyze the structure. So that's an idea there. c5. Now he's taking advantage of, see, when the bishop moved to f4, it's going after the c6 pawn. But remember, this structure now will end up becoming weak. If black is allotted, he potentially could make a pass pawn, protected one of all things. So you have to be very careful the moves that you play, because you can give up an important move. Like this bishop on e3 was stopping c5 from happening, because it wouldn't have been able to. It would have been taken. The c5 pawn would have been taken by the d pawn. The bishop would have protected, and nothing would have been able to come to fruition with a potential protected pass pawn. But because of it moving, it allowed black to go c5 and undermine white's structure in the center, and potentially making a isolated pawn. Yes, that too, as well. True. I see what you're saying. That is an interesting idea of going back. Well, let's just take a look. We'll just say, for playing purposes, h5. That potentially is an idea. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. But the whole thing is, it doesn't have as much power when the bishop's on f4. Because the bishop, there's really no defender on the d4 except for this pawn, and white doesn't want to get isolated. If he gets an isolated pawn with pieces start trading down, isolated pawns are very vulnerable when you start losing pieces off the board or taking pieces. If you trade all these guys off and then you trade this guy for that guy. We'll just say that, and this is the only pawn that's left, and then you have these pawns versus that. So you have to think who's better. In my opinion, if white has an isolated pawn, even though black has these two, I really believe that black has a better endgame position if all these pieces get traded off, and black's able to create an isolated pawn. He's totally winning at that point. So yeah, I agree that c5 could be played back when his bishop was on e3, but it has more teeth to it when it's the bishop's not guarding the d4 pawn. So we always have to take in consideration move sequences are important. Each move has a drawback. Each move you lose. I think Bobby Fischer was the one that said you give a move to get a move, and the player that wins is the player that gives the least but gets the most. That's how a player wins. Yes, but you'd say checkmate. Yes, correct. But that allows checkmate to happen when you give small amounts but you get a lot, which would be checkmate. Alrighty, let's continue onward and upward. A takes B. Okay, now that is an interesting sitch for sure. Huh. Let's see if takes. I guess you do have an isolated pawn, don't you? But that is very interesting that he allotted white to have a d5 pass pawn protected, but queen g3, and now white's got a pretty good attack going here. He's got bishop to h6 potentially, so maybe even bishop here. The knight would have to move, otherwise it would be taken. So interesting. Now that was a good move. He's trying to give up the knight for one of the bishops, because then the c pawn is weak. So knight takes. Yeah, now that it makes sense why black played this move. It's white's in a big problem at the moment. A takes, and then now they both have pass pawns. They're both isolated pass pawns. Rook takes, and then knight comes in. It's going to be an interesting for sure. So the king, yeah, that's a smart idea. So, even if you're white knew that he had the ability to make a move with his rook, because if black ever tried taking here, you guys see checkmate. So that's why he had to move his king. Now, let's see here. Let's see if you take there. I guess you have a pin, don't you? And there's no way to stop. You'd lose the rook. So that's a sneaky idea there. And now the rook is attacking the knight, so it's going to have to move. And now the knight could take. So it just was a move sequence idea. Then king comes up, g3, king goes, and now the knight is trapped. So there's no knight escape at this moment. Rook a1, and then c. Yeah, it's the knight's gone, because what'll eventually happen is let's see what the computer says for the next move for white. Let's see here. Okay, so he's saying c5. Yeah, so it's Let's say that he just moves his king. I just want to see. Oh, so it says to push the pawn. Okay. Because you're wanting to draw the knight, the rook there. Gotcha. Oh, okay. F3. Now, this is really bad for... This is even worse. He's gonna have to move his rook. Oh, he takes? You gotta be joking me. That's horrible. Wow. Okay, we'll stop here because there's white's done for. Oops, there we go. White's done. So we will go on, and I think yeah, this one's a little shorter of one. This is the Winier variation. We did the exchange. You saw how the exchange can end up becoming a pretty furious attacking game. Black said to white, he says, "You're not going to play the exchange on my watch." He's going to black will now have the ability to I guess you can say he made white not want to play that against him ever again. So that's a a good indicator. White's going to be like, I do not want to do that ever again. So okay, so let's get to our French defense. This is the French defense. Now this is the Winier variation. Takes. You can take, or what you could do at this point. We talked about that there's c5. c5 is an idea. There's knight to f6, and then you potentially can have a awkwardly positioned maybe advanced variation, but it's a Winier. This is not very good for black. I mean for white, because his idea is to hold this structure, and that would just allow it to happen. So taking is an interesting idea. And black is saying to white that I don't mind exchanging one pawn off as long as I get a really good center that I can attack. C3 is played, and then e5. This e5 is a really good move because the knight guard's here, so there's gonna have to be a take. Take is forced, and it takes. And now this bishop is free. The light square bishop for black is free. And at this point, it's game Operation Go. And so he's maneuvering his pieces for protection of the pawn, and also maybe an outpost. You never know. Now the bishop is maneuvering around. And he's also preparing the later, maybe after king h8, he's got f5, but you can't do f5 right away because you have a discovery and you'll lose your bishop. So you have to plan for that. And that plan works too, and you can play it if you want. f4, queen comes slicing in. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Now if takes here, you can actually take back with your knight. The bishop's attacked, so it's going to have to stay in contact with the pawn. And now you have a interesting attack coming down the pike. You could actually play let's see, you can even play bishop takes here. Maybe that's a better idea than there, but I don't really think so. I like knight takes because it attacks the bishop, more forcing, and then the knight could always retreat back or come into, like we'll say here, potentially the knight could actually come smashing in there. And then if plays here, you got check, then that's mate, by the way, so he's going to have to play there, and he's not going to be able to take this because, well, I guess he could, couldn't he? But probably here, and check with the queen, check. You win another pawn, and basically the game is you can just take there, and I think you win the queen if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Oh, nope. You don't win the queen. My bad. Not yet. Okay. Bye-bye. Be safe. And have a happy holiday, okay? Bye-bye. Because he's risen. So, I mean, he's born, sorry. That's Easter. Sorry. That's what we gotta remember. Okay, then here. He can't move. He's got to move his king up. So he's got to move there. Check. Okay, so this benefits. I just wanted to make sure that so I can see what was going on. So takes, and it's black who's better here. Takes. Then we have to push. And he's starting an attack. Now it's black has king side or queen side pressure, so but really he can't ever get this pawn truly going because this one pawn stops 3 pawns, and these guys are just going to start rolling up the board. So black's winning. There's really no hope for white in this position. He can, I don't know, maybe try to relieve the pressure. Or actually, I wouldn't take. Well, you could take, couldn't you? I'm just trying to think here. You can actually play check, and then you'd have to move there. Takes king, and you could get these pawns rolling, so maybe there. He's gonna have to play there, so we know that for sure to keep the position locked. And if that's tried, we're just gonna take, and then we'll play bishop there, and yeah, it's winning. So that's all over. So now what we'll do is we'll dive into some chess puzzles and do some puzzles because that's fun. I wanted to go over some openings with it was actually one of our guys told us. It was a Fox. He's the one that told us, the Fox told us about this gentleman, and so I wanted to play 2 games of his. Okay, this is an interesting position for sure. We'll go to 23, and so if we notice that this bishop is being attacked, so we also have to be careful though of bishop to f 5 because or 4 because there's a potential pin on the queen. But I was having an idea. If rook takes e5 and rook takes e5, we now have knight takes c4. Or if rook takes e5, we then have, if we have bishop, then we may have bishop f4. We may have to, then we can actually take, can't we? So here, here, and takes, and that guards this, doesn't it? Yeah, I like that idea. There we go. We're taking it. We're taking it to the next level, guys. See if we can. If we take here, the knight. If the knight ever moves, we have mate. So if we take and he castles, we win the knight. So that's a good move. And let's see. I believe that's, let's see. Okay, if we take here, here, we got check. So if we take here, here, we have check, and potentially we will have mate because the queen could retreat back, and yeah, yep. Okay, at this point we have to decide, do we check? If we check, he'll go back, takes, rook takes, takes. If we take there, he might play a pawn push. So, I am thinking that queen takes might be the correct move sequence because then we have a bishop check, and if rook, we have bishop and king. Then we can always retreat back, winning. Okay, here, if plays there, we have here. If intercepts there, we take. Yeah, I like that. Oh, snakies. So we check first. Ah! Okay, check comes up, then you take. Okay. Why doesn't oops, that's okay. irritating, but we have to remember, see it all the way through. Don't move till you see it. Do 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 do. See if we played bishop here, queen takes. Let's take a look here. Trying to see after here. That should block the queen in. Then the next move will be a oh shoot. Oh, because he can't go there. Can't go there. Okay, guys, stay focused, stay focused. Don't move till you see it, don't move till you see it. Okay, let's go to 21. Sorry about my silence, I was just thinking for a second there. Okay, I'm looking at if we play queen to e2, threatens mate, so rook would be forced. So here. And then we potentially have a knight. You got, really? Okay, takes, okay. You got it. Really. Okay. So now we get to see why bishop takes wasn't the best, and queen was. Trying to see, is there anything that because this is the one of the moves I see. Is there anything else that potentially could happen here? Well, maybe if he doubles up rooks, but if he did that, then we would if we played here and he doubled up rooks, we would just take the queen. So smack. We won 5 back. Ugh, finally. I can't believe it this soon and it's a KO. Wow. Okay. Let's take a look here really quick. Okay, we have a potential queen takes f5, bishop takes. He moves there. Then we don't have anything at that point, so We do have the idea of here, that if he retreats back, we can actually push onward and win a knight, because if we play here, he moves back here, he has to move the knight. But if he doesn't move his knight, let's say here, we got mate. So here, 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 here. If here, yeah, like that. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. All because of takes. And you win. How did I miss that? Hold on, let's go back to my idea. I want to see why mine doesn't work. Okay. Okay. For some reason I missed that. I don't know how, but I saw the knight takes, guys, but for some reason I didn't go with it. I should have. Tells you sometimes you have to go with your instinct and not fight it. Potentially we have a rook to e4. I don't think there's any way to hold the bishop at that point, yeah. There we go. We got this, guys. We can recover. You know what? Learning is sometimes hard. You know what? I'm even learning on stuff, so don't feel like you're alone. Well, let's go here, here, here. I believe that, let's see here. Let's see if we played here, here. Oh, interesting. So if we played here, he moves here, we actually bring our bishop there, and then it takes, we can win the queen. That's right. There we go. There's 5 points. Hey, we're climbing up the ladder. We're climbing up the ladder. 5, you know what? 5 points every time. We'll get there. You know what I mean? Let's take a look at here. Takes there. Let's see here. Okay. Here, 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 here. Check. So that's not right. Okay, if we push there, if he takes, we can actually take. So here, here. Okay. If we push here, queen takes the pawn. There. Man. Trying to think here. This doesn't work now that I think about it, because here, there. Anyways, there, queen's there. Let me check. And if the queen comes here, let's see if we play here. Let's say he moves. He loses, so the queen. So here, there. So rook takes g5, bishop takes g5. Sorry, rook takes g5 check, bishop takes rook on g5, rook takes bishop check, queen takes rook g5, queen takes h7 check, king e8, queen check on h8, queen g7, queen h6 check, king moves up, check mate. I'm going with it. Okay, if we take queen takes, bishop takes. So it takes here, takes. Yep, we're up a whole piece, that's right. There we go. Boy, that was intense. I had to see all the way through that. I was like, ugh. We're on the rise again. So we just have to stay focused. I'm starting to see that that's the trend. Focus. Okay, here, takes. We can't do a fork because of the rook takes g4. So if we move our king up, attacking the rook. That's covered. So if the king's here, that's covered, that's covered, that's covered. The bishop covers that, the pawn covers that. So if we move here, queen check, pawn push. He's going to have to take, we take, and we win the piece. So here, I'm saying king h3, bishop e5 check, f4 intercepts. If he takes, we take, and then if rook comes down, we just take the rook. So there we go. Okay, let's see what we got here. We'll take a look at this, and if we can't really solve it without a description, guys, probably log off, and I got some work and studies to do, so I'll do this one, and then I gotta log off for work and study. Let's see here. Let's see. No, I don't see anything, so I don't want to end on a loss. So, well, guys, I appreciate that you got on, spent your time, and you know what? Continue to keep doing chess to learn and get better. As Wesley So says, serve the Lord Jesus, and as I say, guys, God bless, and I will see you next time on Chess Cruncher TV. And remember, keep moving forward. Only look back to learn. And as Hannibal Smith says, there's always a plan. There's always a plan in the position, and I love it when there is. Bye bye, guys.